Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be learning how to make a cardboard mask like this one. Now this is one I made a real long time ago, so that's why its ear's a little messed up, but this will be an in-depth tutorial for how to make this cardboard mask. This doesn't have a strap on it because I took it off, but this is how you make one. This tutorial will be kind of like a more extensive version of my TikTok version tutorial, so let's get into it. Alright, so let's get into materials. So you're going to need some cardboard. Preferably like thinner cardboard like this. Thicker cardboard can be a little touch or go to work with. And this is thin. This is really thin. It's a monster box, but you can get cardboard from everywhere. This is similar to like a cereal box. This is more like a Amazon box kind of texture, but cardboard. That's the first thing you're going to need. You can also make this out of paper. I've seen some people do it. Well, this tutorial is about cardboard, so we're doing the cardboard. Next, you're gonna need something to write with. I usually have a marker, maybe 2 different colors in case I need to like cut a different line, make it distinctive, and a pen. Now the pen is more so used to poke holes. At the end of the mask, you're gonna attach the strap to it. If you don't want to glue it, you poke a hole through it. So something to write with, some markers, pen, something like that. Then you need some scissors. So my scissors are kind of cool because they squeeze like that, but any old scissors will do. I also use an X-Acto knife. Literally any X-Acto knife will do, but be careful with these because they are dangerously sharp. These things can hurt you, so use adult supervision if you are using one of these and you're like under the age of like 12. So if you're 12 and up, X-Acto knife is probably good for you, but if you want to be safe, definitely have an adult around just in case, because accidents do happen with these. Gotta be careful. So, scissors and X-Acto knife. This is optional, but you do need some scissors. Next, you're gonna need some kind of thread. This is a shoelace from one of my shoes. Because I changed the laces, so I was like, well, might as well use this. You can use literally anything. Elastic works. Some kind of yarn will work, but something to tie it to your head. Preferably elastic, but I usually use like a shoelace or kind of a cord from like sweatpants or something like that. Now the last thing you need, which is essentially the most important, is something to stick it together. Now since it's made out of cardboard, you could really use kind of like glue or tape. I've seen people use a lot of different things, but the hot glue gun works the best. My hot glue gun is, well, it's seen better days, but a high temp glue gun, medium temp, low temp, none of that doesn't matter. Any glue gun will work. But most of these are just using cardboard. Doesn't need a lot of glue, but hot glue gun is my recommended tool for gluing it. You can also use tape. You can also use like regular craft glue stick, but glue gun works the best. All right, we're ready to start. Now, believe it or not, for this tutorial, measurements are optional. I have actually never made this mask while measuring it, but I figured I'd include this measuring tape just so that you guys can get a kind of a guess about the size you should make it. Mostly in my comments of my old video were saying where the measurements are. I don't know, but I do have this base that I use for all of my masks, so I'm basing it off of this. So you're usually gonna wanna make the length of it about 8 inches long. 8 inches is like 20 centimeters. That's funny. It's almost 20 centimeters, I think. But 8 inches, 20 centimeters, something like that. That's how wide. And for how tall? Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's 6 inches tall. So I usually take a piece of cardboard about this big, and I start to trace the design. Ignore how dirty my hands are. I've been using charcoal and paint, and I just got back from art class, and it is all over me. I have washed my hands. It is not coming off, so ignore that. But here's where I start. So you're gonna wanna take one of your markers, and I usually start with the curve like over here. Start curving it out. It's pretty straight along the top. There we go. So like a nice curve like this. It's usually how I start. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be even. You can figure it out as you go. So then I start there. And then here's approximately where the nose bridge is gonna go. So it's about kind of halfway. Let me get my measuring tape back out. So probably about 3 inches from the top, which is like almost 8 centimeters. So So then I curve the mask down here and over here, and I build up a nice curve to where my nose is gonna sit. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be even. Actually, I'm gonna make it a little higher up. That way it looks a bit better. So just keep going over it until it looks right to you. This is where a second marker can come in handy, especially if you need to know exactly which line you're cutting. So if you don't know which one you're gonna go with, use the second marker and mark it that way. But here is the shape. Looks like that. So now I also draw the eyes. Now the eyes don't have to be perfect circles. In fact, I usually draw ovals, but from like, let's see, so here's the top of the nose right there. So not very far away is where the corner of the eye is gonna be. Now, the eye size is pretty optional. If you want bigger eyes, you're gonna wanna make bigger circles, but I usually make my eyes about this size, and I will bring that measuring tape back in a second just to make it known how big these eyes are. I usually go over it a few times just to check. So that's what I start with. And let me get that measuring tape back out. So these are about 2 inches across and about 1.5 inches high. And in centimeters, that would be about 5.5 centimeters and about 4 centimeters. So about that big. So then you got this nice mask base. Now that I'm looking at it, I kind of want to make this forehead a bit higher. So I'm going to bring my marker a bit higher up, like that. So that's what my base looks like. Next, whoops, dropped my marker, but next step is to cut this out. Now my eyes are a little uneven, but I'm going to even them up as I cut them. Take your scissors, just cut out the shape. Now it's best to cut a bit bigger than your shape. That way you have more room if you need to shape it a different way. So I always cut on the outside of the lines. Sorry about that angle there. There we go. There's my mask base. Just like that. Now you can either cut these eyes out with scissors, or this is where the X-Acto knife comes in handy. So usually I cut them out with the X-Acto knife. I'm gonna do both for you, just so you can see both ways. So with the scissors, I usually poke like right about here. Now be very careful doing this. You don't wanna hurt your hands, you wanna go slow. You just get that hole right in there. You get the tip of the scissors, and cut it out like this. And just go very slowly around it. Cutting very carefully, just the tips of the scissors, so you don't accidentally get your hand. There we go. So there's one eye. Now alternatively, you can use the X-Acto knife, which I find a bit easier. So be very careful, just punching it up and down over and over. Being very sure to keep your hands far away from where the blade is. You don't want to cut towards yourself, always cut away. So you're going to want to rotate the mask so that your knife is always pointing away from you, because it is very dangerous to cut toward yourself. And that goes for scissors too, but be very careful if you're using this method. Yeah, you got that hole. So as you can see with the X-Acto knife, it's a bit smoother. Scissors it's not, but either works. So the next thing I do when I have this cut out is I just fold it. I try to make it a bit curved, just so it fits better against your face. Just be careful you don't rip it, because that would be pretty disappointing if you had to start over like that. But because these parts can be pretty thin and fragile, so be careful about that. But yeah, now it's nice and curved. You're gonna want to get some more cardboard, and this time we're gonna make the snout. So this sheet of cardboard is like, I don't know, like 10 inches across maybe. So I'm gonna take my marker. I'm gonna go with one of these flat edges here, like right up here. I'm gonna draw a straight line out, like this. So, get a little closer angle. So this line, I don't know how long it is, but I will measure in a second, is where you start. So that line should be about, let's say 5 inches. Let's say 5 inches long, which, if you use centimeters, is about 13 centimeters. Well, 13 and a half. You're you draw it like that. And then this part can be a little tricky, so it could take a few times to get it right, but you're going to want to make it so that this snout is about as long as this side. So you're going to want to measure about this long, just so it kind of lines up with this section. And that would be approximately 3.5 inches or 8.5 centimeters. And you're going to connect this line to this line with a curve. So you're going to want to curve it up like that. This creates a nice big snout for you. Now this cardboard's pretty thin, and depending on how thin your cardboard is, attaching the snout could be a little difficult, but you're going to want to make it about this big. So once you cut this out, you're going to want to trace it and cut out another one exactly like it. Now if your cardboard is like mine and has a side you don't want to use for the front of the mask, you're going to want to flip it over. That way you have two opposites so that both sides can be this plain cardboard instead of the colored side. So once it's cut out, it looks like this, and you're going to want to flip it if you don't want it to be the exact same on, well, if you do want it to be the exact same. So this side has, I don't want this pattern facing out. So if I cut it the same way, then I will have one side having this pattern. So to fix that, you flip it over, take your marker, you trace around the edge. I don't know why it's not focusing, there we go. Trace around the edge. Now, none of these lines have to be perfect because this mask tends to turn out pretty good even if you don't get it exactly right. Okay, so you cut out that shape too. There we go. Now I've got two. So the next step that I like to take is just bend it again. I kind of curve them in like this in opposite directions because this is going to create the snout. And you want the cardboard to be extra bendy so that it takes the right shape. So curve that side like this and then do the opposite of this one so that it bends the other direction. Okay, just want to make sure it's nice and flexible. So if they're all bent, you're going to want to overlap them and glue the tips like this. Now the angle can be a little less sharp or more sharp, but I prefer it like this. It's kind of my favorite angle to do, kind of like a, I don't know what angle that is, but like that. So about 1 inch of overlap over here, and you glue them together. So take some hot glue, just put it right on this side here. There we go. Glue gun back. Stick these together. Now when you're using hot glue, be very, very careful, especially when you're using thin cardboard, because it can be very hot. Now hot glue guns are very dangerous. You can get serious burns if you touch the glue or if it lands on you, so it's best to have adult supervision if you've never used a hot glue gun before, or have an adult nearby just in case something happens. So now that it's glued, I realize I've forgotten a crucial step, and that is angling the snout downwards. Usually I do that before it's glued just so it's easier to make them even. You can do it when it's like this too. So what you're going to want to do is draw an angled mark like this. That way, when it's on your snout, it'll point downwards instead of straight out. So it'll be like that. So I usually cut one side like this and then flip this. Cut the exact same part over there. That way your snout is angled downwards. So now that that's done, you're going to want to attach the snout to the mask. So bend it like this, kind of place it on the mask like this. Creates a nice snout. Now if your snout is too big or too small, you can always adjust it. If it's too big, it's easier to just trim some pieces off. Mine looks only slightly too big, so I'm going to trim a little bit of it. Okay, bit of a different angle here just so it's easier to glue it down. You'll kind of line it up like this. If your snout's a bit uneven, mine looks to be pretty even right now. But if it's a bit uneven, like if it's leaning like this, then all you gotta do is just cut more off one of the sides. So now we're gonna glue it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my glue, I'm gonna put it carefully. Now this works better with thicker cardboard, but glue all along the edge here, like that. You're gonna do the same thing to the other one. And be very careful. Don't put your hand directly underneath this just in case it drips. Like that, okay. Move that back. Now you're gonna take it like this and carefully place it onto the mask. There we go. So you're gonna wanna place it like in the corner of the eye like this and curve it a bit. See how it curves? You're gonna hold it until the glue stays. Now, because the cardboard is so thin, I gotta be very careful. Because I don't know if it's actually gonna stick. Thicker cardboard tends to work better, at least for the snout. But then you hold it. Okay, once it's glued on, you're gonna have something like this. Now, if this is a little too low for you, you can always trim it up. This is what I think I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna take my scissors and trim a little bit off the bottom. Just because I personally think it should be a little bit flatter. There we go. Now, this snout is okay, but it could be better. Okay. This one actually ended up not needing to like cut a bit out of here. Sometimes I do that to make it lie flatter, but it's in a pretty good snout. So now this top part. So you're gonna take your cardboard, and actually this piece right here looks to be the perfect size, which is approximately 1.5 inches long, and you want it as long as the snout. So however long your snout is gonna be the same length. So I'm gonna cut this like that. So this part doesn't have to have an exact size. It depends on how big your snout is. So you're gonna create a piece that goes over the top. This is a bit too long, but we'll trim it up. So I like to curve this a little bit, just so it lies a bit flatter, like that. So curve this end, that way it looks like that on the top. Then as long as the snout is, curve the other side. So you'll have a piece like this. And this is dependent on how long your snout is. I'm gonna keep trimming that down a little bit. It doesn't have to fully cover the snout. If there's a little gap, that's okay. So that looks about good for me. So I'm gonna glue it down. My glue gun. And I like to put glue right about here, right about there. You take it, place it right on top. You hold it down. This part can get a little dangerous if the glue seeps out from underneath, so be very careful not to burn your fingers. All right, I'm gonna set this until it dries. Okay, looking good. All right, now that the snout is done, the next step is to create the cheek fluff. So what we're gonna do is trace the cheeks. You're gonna want to find a decent sized piece of cardboard and place your mask like this. Then you're gonna mark the outside of the cheek and the inside of the eye. That should look like this. That'll be a guide. Now this is the part where 2 marker colors does come in handy. So from about the corner of the eye here, you're gonna wanna trace out the cheek fluff. Usually I do like 3 triangles like that. And then you're gonna want to match the curve as close as you can, like that. And there's your cheek fluff. So now what I usually do is I cut this out and I flip it and cut out the other side without measuring. For a more exact match, you do the exact same thing to this side. That way the sides will fit a bit more evenly because usually the sides of the mask aren't even. I don't really do that. I don't really care about it being perfectly even. So I cut out this one, trace the exact same one, and add that to the other side. That creates these to be a bit more even, like the spikes, but also the fit might not be as even. So it's really up to you. So once it's cut out, I just flip it over, trace it again. Oh, that's the wrong side of the marker. Trace it again like this. And there's our other side. Now that you've got two sides, you can glue them right onto the mask. Now, of course, like I said, this marking here isn't going to be a perfect fit, but it looks pretty good. So now what I do is I usually put glue directly onto here, the other side, like that. Then you very carefully press the pieces into place, like this. Now it's okay if they're not exactly even. I think it's even better when they're not. It gives you a more unique mask. There we are. Now it's glued down. So it looks like this. Now this next step is optional. You could just leave the cheek fluff like this, but I like to add a second layer so it gives it a bit more depth. So again, you're going to trace this inner eye like this, and then you're going to compare to where it fits, like right about here, a couple guidelines. So this is a little bit tricky, but I like to make sure they're next to each other so I can kind of gauge where the spikes are. There we go, second set of spikes. Now these don't have to be perfect, and it honestly is better if they're not. But that will go right over there. So I do the exact same thing, cut this out, flip it, trace it, and then add it to the other side. Okay, so now you have those cut out, you place them right underneath the eyes, like that. Then you glue them down. Take some glue, and this time I like to glue directly onto the piece, so it stays in the right spot. So I'll glue this one down first. There we go. Stuck down. Then we do this side. You don't have to glue the entire piece, just the parts where it sticks to the mask, like that. There we go. I've got an extra fluffy mask. This next step is for the eyebrows. So I usually do this. I trace the tops of the eyes a little bit far away so that you have enough room. Just trace the eye. Do the whole eye, just the top of the eye. Doesn't really matter, but there's that. And then I draw from this some angled lines, like so. Well, they don't have to be perfect. You can change the shape however you want. But I usually draw them like this. Some straight lines. Like so. And those would be the eyebrows. So now you cut each of these out. And if you didn't save the circles when you initially cut the eyes, or if they got too damaged, cut out this circle shape as well. So once you have it like this with the circle shape, you're gonna cut along this edge. If you save the eye pieces from earlier, this will do, you don't have to do this part, but you need the circles for the extra eyebrows. Okay, so once you have the eyebrows and circles cut out, you're gonna take them and position them right over the eyes, like that. So you're gonna glue those down, and you wanna take these circles and trim them a little bit smaller, like about this size. So a little bit smaller than the original. And these you're going to position over the corners of the eyebrows like that. So then you glue them down. Now for the eyebrows, I usually put a little bit of glue onto the top here. Just stick them down. They look nice. Like that. There we go. Now we got a nice, cool looking wolf. Now the next step is to make the ears. So what you're going to want to do is trace the top of the head from the corner to the other corner, like that. And it might help to keep the mask here just so you can try the sizing. You're going to draw 2 triangles, like this. Now, I curved mine, but you don't have to. You can always just flip it and trace the shape if you want them exactly the same. I tend to draw them on like this. There we go. Okay, ears. Now this step is important. You're gonna wanna draw a little bit below the line, like so, and then cut it out including this portion. Because this section here is what you're gonna glue to the back of the mask. That way the ears stay on. So you're gonna cut out both of those. One and the other one. Okay, and there's 2 ears. Now the next step is to trace both of these ear shapes one more time. So wherever they fit, trace them one more time. So once the ear is traced again, you're going to want to draw the inside of the ear, like this. That way, you can cut it out along this line, including these, and make the inside of the ear. So you do that to both sides. And you cut out this shape. Do not cut this line, you cut all the way around. So this part is going to be cut out. You don't need it, just the V shape. So we're going to cut that out here. There we go. Sorry about that camera angle there. There we go. Cut this out. Cut out the inside. Like that. Do that for both of them. Now the dimensions of the ears, which I forgot earlier, are about a little over 3 inches tall and a little over 3 inches at the bottom. And this is only about less than 1 inch wide. So once you have those cut out, you glue them to the ears like this. So let's just glue those down. I usually glue just the edge of the cardboard here. Stick this on top. Press it down. Doesn't have to be perfect. And this bottom part gets underneath the mask anyway, so it doesn't have to be even. There's one. Let's glue the other side. There we go. Glue that one down too. And there's our ears. You're going to want to find where you want the ears to go. So position them underneath the mask like this, and then lift the mask up. Keep them in the exact same spot. Put some glue along the bottom. A little bit on this side. There we go. Make them about the same. And you place the mask right on top. There we go. Push it down once it's in the right spot. Then you got ears. And while the glue is dry, you can usually move them around a bit, but there's our ears. Now the last step in the base of our mask is to make the nose. So take a small piece of cardboard and draw a shape like this. It's usually a T shape, like this. There we go. So this shape, when cut out, will make the nose. You can always round out the edges too, if you want a more round looking nose. You can point this if you want, but otherwise a basic T shape is fine. And this is about, get my measuring tape back, about 2 inches wide and 1.5 inches tall. Oh, in centimeters, that would be about 4 centimeters tall and about 6 wide. So we're gonna cut that out now. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So I'm gonna fold these edges here, like that, and glue it right on top, like so. Stick some glue to the back of this nose, just on the points here is where I usually do it. And very carefully stick it right onto the mask, like that. Just hold it until it dries. And there we go. The base of the cardboard mask is complete. The last step is to make a string so that you can hold it. Well, make it so your string can hold it, not make a string. So what I do is I take a pen and I poke holes very carefully through the cardboard. Now you don't want this too close to the edge because then it'll break right through. But very carefully poke a hole right through the cardboard. Like that. Now you do the same thing on the other side, trying to line them up. With a soft spot in the cardboard right in between the ear and the fur. It's a good spot for it. Make that one a bit wider. There we go. I got some holes. So you're gonna want to take your string and thread it through one of the holes. Then you're gonna want to tie a knot in the string, like this. You can do a double knot if you want. Doesn't really matter. Not like that. Cut off the extra and pull it through, like that. Then you're going to want to put it on your face and pull the string around the back of your head until it's tight. Whatever portion it, wherever it meets the mask, put your finger there and keep it there, like this. So this portion of the string is where when I wrap this around my head and put the mask to my face, that's where the string felt comfortable on my face. So you want to keep that right in that spot. So keep your fingers in that spot and thread the other end of your string through the other hole. Make sure not to lose that spot. So when the mask gets to that spot, just change it to my other hand, and I'll pull it through and tie a knot exactly in that spot. There we go. Tie it again. And then you pull it back through. Oops. Pull it back through, and that should be perfectly sized to your head. You cut the end of the string. And you have finished your mask. Last step, put it on your head. And enjoy your new cardboard wolf mask. If you like this tutorial and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. I will be posting more cardboard tutorials and other tutorials very soon. I also post informational content on therians, furries, and anything along that nature. If you like this tutorial, make sure to let me know in the comments. And enjoy your new cardboard mask.